you know what? It's also important to have a frank discussion with the selling agent. And sometimes writing what we call a love letter helps.
Okay, awesome. Today, I'm excited to have a conversation with my good friend, Dragic. And Dragic's been licensed since 2017, had an amazing start to his career, and is a Platinum Plus producer. And so we're really proud to have him part of our family. And I've known Dragic since he started with the office, and a good friend of mine as well. And so I'm excited to talk to him today about multiple offers and how he wins for his buyers in multiple offers. And so welcome, Dragic. How are you doing, man?
Hey, not bad. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. And so when the market is hot, we do run into fairly often, especially on hot properties priced well and where there's limited supply, we get into a situation where we have multiple offers. And we're seeing that right now. So it's a good time for us to have a conversation on that. And so generally speaking, what do you do? I guess, what do you say? How do you prepare your buyer to compete, I guess, to get their offer accepted?
Yeah, well, you know, in real estate, everything starts with education, right? That's the first thing that we all do. So the initial meeting with buyers, you know, when you realize what they're looking for and you realize you're in a very active, very hot market, multiple offers are going to be very likely. So first of all, you got to set the expectations that in some cases you actually may not end up getting that property, and that's reality. But there are steps that you can take to maximize your chances of actually winning. And I've recently had two where we ended up with the winning offer, and they were completely different. So we'll chat a little bit about both of them. But
great.
Generally, the one thing that's really crucial is having a very strong pre-approval, you know, from your mortgage broker or your financial institution. When you can make your conditions shorter, it's going to make your offer stronger.
Right.
One other thing that makes you look more serious is putting down a larger deposit, because that deposit goes towards your purchase price anyways, or your down payment. So it's going to be spent anyway, but it shows the seller that you have the money and you are not necessarily mortgaging everything. So it makes them feel a little bit more secure picking your offer over perhaps another one that has a $5,000 deposit versus yours of $35,000. So that's something to consider. Second thing, if you are putting conditions, usually the practice is that, you know, you write the offer and you put 2 weeks conditions and you put, you know, property inspection and financing, and they are on the same date.
Right.
But you can actually stagger them.
Okay.
So you can put your property inspection before your financing condition. This also tells the buyer you are serious because you're willing to spend the money to get the property inspected. And it shows them that you are really serious about buying their property. So if there's 2 offers and you have staggered conditions, yours is likely to be selected. And this is what happened in one of my most recent cases. We were competing against a couple of offers. Now, were we the highest price? Maybe. But we had our conditions set up in such a way that inspection was pretty short and it was ahead of the financing condition.
Right. So
we took care of the inspection, went over the report. My client was comfortable with what was there. We waived it, and just now we are also waiving the other financing. So having the conditions staggered helped us win that scenario.
Right.
Sometimes though, you can end up in a situation where there are unconditional offers. And that happens maybe not as often in Edmonton as it does in some other places, but it still happens.
Right.
And in that case, you really have to talk to your client about all the risks associated with going unconditional. You cannot see everything. You go into a home, you can do a pretty decent visual inspection, but you can't see everything that an inspector could. So there's going to be risks that they have to be comfortable with.
Right.
But again, if you're going unconditional, you don't necessarily have to overpay as much as if you're potentially going conditional. And what I mean is, on average, I think there is about $13,000 to $17,000 difference that sellers are willing to kind of give in to take a for sure sale, which is an unconditional offer versus a conditional offer.
Right.
But again, education, client has to know the risks.
Good.
And
I think setting expectations is very key. And we always talk about how do you get your offer to stand out, right? And so adding the additional deposit again builds confidence and gets eyeballs on your offer. And if everything else is the same, this could be the differentiator, right? So I think all those little pieces can make a big difference. Any other strategies that you've used to get your buyers' offers accepted?
You know what? It's also important to have a frank discussion with the selling agent. And sometimes writing what we call a love letter helps.
Okay.
And we also have one of these where my buyers actually put together a really nice letter to the sellers. And we were not the highest offer in that case, but the letter made the difference. The sellers could identify with the people who were buying their home, and they decided to, I think the difference ended up being something like $7,000.
Right.
But they decided, because of that letter, because of what was in the letter, to actually choose my client's offer over the I think there were other two offers in this case. So it's the little things, sometimes the human factor is also in there, but again, deposit, strong conditions, strong pre-approval, all of it adds up to a very strong offer.
Great.
Sometimes if you don't feel comfortable going unconditional, you and your client can also check with a home inspector to see if he's got availability tomorrow, let's say, to do an inspection for you. So you can put a 1-day proper inspection condition.
Right.
And and it might work because, again, people are seeing it as you being completely serious about buying, but you also want to make sure that what you're buying doesn't have a major issue that's going to cost you, I don't know, $50,000, $60,000 in the next 2 months.
Right. Yeah, I like where your head's at. It's like, hey, speak with the selling agent, get an idea of what are the sellers looking for, because the more that you can accommodate their wants or needs, again, the easier it is for them to select your offer. And all those little points matter. If you can bring your condition dates in even a day or two, it makes a difference, right? If you're just, I always ask for 10 business days, so that's what I always have. I was like, okay, but even 8 business days still looks better, and it's shorter time period. So it can make the difference. All those little 1%. I love the love letter. A lot of our agents have gotten great success with that. And it's mostly you're just kissing the seller's butt and telling them how amazing their place is. And you say, hey, this is my family and my children or whatever. Maybe have a photo of your family or who would be your pet, right? My dog loves your backyard. Here's a picture of my dog with the sad eyes, right? Like, yeah, that's worth $5,000 or $7,000 to somebody. Great, right? We've even seen agents adopt video more and do a video, hi, we love your home. We'd love the opportunity to grow up in this community, and we know the neighbors and blah, blah, blah. It does, like attracts like, and people want to do business with those that are like them, right? Exactly. Money does talk. So I think planning a price accordingly, right? So let me ask you this real quick. how do you help determine the purchase price? Because it is a pretty key element. I know a few of these factors make a difference where, you know, a seller might be willing to accept less because of some of these things, especially on conditional offers. And we've easily seen and proven $5,000 to $20,000 difference to the sure thing rather than a conditional offer. But if you're having a conversation with your buyer, how are you setting the price?
Well, first of all, we need to decide if this property is priced at market value or if it's priced below market value to attract multiple offers. Because that's a strategy on the selling side where you can price it a little bit under to get more offers.
Sure.
So paying over list price, sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean you're overpaying for the property. So that's number one. And then before we submit any offers, I do a CMA for my clients.
What's a CMA?
Comparative market analysis for a property, basically giving them an idea of what the market value of this property is. And so, but there's also other factors that come into this. Is this a home? Is this their forever home? You know, sometimes if it's your forever home and you love it that much, you know, overpaying, let's say 10,000 doesn't really mean much because you're going to be staying in this house and you have no intention of selling it versus, you know, somebody who wants to maybe sell in 3 years. Because as we go through real estate cycles, in 3 years, the value of the home might dip a little bit, but it's going to be back up in about, you know, years 5 to 7 anyway.
Yeah.
So you have to take those factors into consideration. But generally, we do a CMA. We discuss the pricing. You know, if we know that there are other offers already, if there are 2 offers, you pretty much have to expect that you're going to be paying at least the asking price. And then anything after that is, you know, what is the pre-approval? How much are the clients willing to spend? And so we put down a price and then see how else we can make the offer stronger. Potentially, you know, you could do a bully offer, or, you know, we could try an escalation clause a little bit, but those are different strategies. And but CMA, which also falls back on education, and then what are the client's plans with the property?
Yeah. And
we go in with our best and strongest offer in that case.
Great. Yeah, and I think it's important for the buyer to realize that it should be a price that if they get the home and they win, that they won't have remorse about it. They'll feel good that they paid a price they're willing to pay. Also, if they don't get it and they don't win out, they won't feel terrible that they didn't put their best foot forward, right? So it's finding that balance point, I think, is super important. Awesome. Hey, man, I really, really appreciate you spending a few minutes with us and helping to, again, better our industry and share some best practices. You know, I think you're a rock star and that you continue to do great things. And I appreciate you sharing some pro tips with us today.
My pleasure. And just a quick point on the rock star part. I learned from the best. So you know whose team I was on when I started, right?
Awesome. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. Have an amazing day, sir.
You too.